Hi guys, welcome back. It's grimreaper coming at you for another video for Raid Shadows. Hopefully you're doing well, and hopefully you're looking after yourself and having a great start to the weekend. We have a guest with us joining us on the channel today. I would like to thank him for spending his time to come out and do a part 2 to our collab, well, part 3, I guess. Do you want to introduce yourself, MTG?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Grim. Obviously, MTG Jedi, how you doing? I am super pumped to talk about the new HYDRA meta, and we have some spicy picks
Mm-hmm.
and some ones that yeah, you should definitely be using these. We got a whole bunch of awesome stuff for you today. And as the guest, I'm gonna just push you guys to sub to this channel because I watch a lot of Grim in the background when I'm doing stuff, and you should too. So if you're new here, you came over here because I said to, go ahead and sub to this guy, and let's jump into this sweet topic. Can't wait to go over it with you, my dude.
Well, I appreciate it, and again, big thank you. I will drop our part 2 of the video, which we actually did part 1 on MTG's video, which we down in the links. We did a type of different style of video on his channel, so go ahead check it out. And again, Edward, MTG is going to open up with our first pick, right?
Yes, let's jump right in. I wanted to put the most spicy pick at the beginning of the video to draw you in. So let's head over to Lizardman. We're going to talk about a champion who used to be an absolute garbage can, and now I think he's one of the best champions that is like super underrated, and that is going to be Vergamcar. I need to probably just make a full video guide on him. That's what I decided. I'm gonna like level 1 up and probably do a video on him at some point. But this guy is actually really good now. On the A3, he has a decreased defense heal reduction, which can be useful against Amius, but particularly in HYDRA, it's another option as a decreased defense champion. I think that we're going to need more survivability in HYDRA going forward, and that's where his A2 comes in. You get an increased defense and a shield, and it goes off of his max HP, which is great. Also, it removes provokes, which is super annoying, and another debuff, so probably fear. So it removes provoke and fear, increased defense, and shield. Like, we do not have champions like this in the game. In fact, Plarium, you need to add some more shield champions because there are not enough.
Mhm.
What do you think? Am I going too far here, Grim, or is this a reasonable suggestion?
I agree he's actually underrated. I never tried him in HYDRA, but I can definitely see the utility here with like the passive as well, which would be quite
Yeah,
strong. The resistance in all battles, which is 55, so you can use a blessing to increase that resistance as well, which is pretty solid for like mid-game accounts which don't have that max great haul as well. Pretty solid. I use this guy actually on S19 Soulcross. He's a really solid
ooh,
champion, and I think it's this rotation where it's actually out, and this
oh,
ability
perfect.
is so powerful. I actually have a video on it already, recorded a couple of months back, so I will share that up in the links on the top. You guys can go check it
Yeah,
out.
awesome.
And he's really solid, right? So I booked him out for that because the first time I built it, I didn't actually book him. It was very RNG against the Marishka. But if he lands at defense down, I build him in a stun set and 100% critical rate, some critical damage, etc. Obviously, his shields and increased defense are really solid as well against the Taurus, who's going to basically beat you down by quite a bit. And that stun on E1 actually is quite powerful. Again, it's a 45% chance of his presence. Again, could also give you that. The champion also increases when there is a buff on the target as well. So super solid kit for this type of stuff. He was a form of fusion as well. So there's plenty of in-game players actually had him. I think there was a lot of hype when he first came out, if I remember correctly. Really good base stats, resistance of 50, which is quite fairly high. And then really good base stats. So yeah, I actually agree. Super solid kit. If you don't want to run a reviver, decrease defense. There's plenty of champions that can run AoE decrease weaken as well. So yeah, fits really well with that type of synergy with the team. So
Yeah, very cool. I love the point about his base stats. I think they're awesome.
yeah,
So excited
Lizardman.
to hear your first pick though.
My
So let's
first, yeah, my first pick is gonna be a free champion, which is all gonna take all Raidshadowlegends players 5 years to get her or 3 years to get her. I think she's started becoming like a meme. You was the first person to make a champion showcase about her, right?
yeah,
Um,
Hi Mother Mod. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, so super solid. I've also done a showcase on her as well, and I really like her for Hydra. Super solid kit. I mean, at A1, it's coming with a decreased attack for 2 turns. Also has increased attack as well on the highest ally with increased attack, with the highest attack. So it's always going to be the attack champion. So it's pretty solid with like a ally attack. With tackle enemies here, then she has like a increases the duration on all the buffs, which is always good against like mischief. Good for live arena as well. I think Shinny uses it quite regularly at the top end of live arena, and it increases the buffs as well. Also has a heal, which is great off her max HP. And then she has like increased defense, increased attack. Probably one of the best revives in the game. When we're talking about this stuff, and then just to top it off, like this is such a sweet passive. You know,
I think
like
that's the best part about her kit is the passive.
yeah, I
She's like a reviver version of Tuhanarok.
yeah, she's like super crazy, right? The only thing that lets
Yeah.
down is affinity, which is the same with any champion. And then an increase aura of 60 as well. Accuracy, aura, and resistance are probably like the most three powerful auras in this game,
Yeah.
especially when we're talking about Hydra content. So again, if you look at our base stats, fairly good on the defense, speed, and HP. And again, everyone is going to get to at some point. They will probably release a way in the future to get her a bit more easier. I would like to think. It just take Raid like 2 years to kind of do these type of updates. So maybe in
I
two
really wish
years
they would do
time.
like interesting special events like, hey, this weekend you can earn some fragments towards High Mother Mod.
Mm,
But
I
they
agree.
don't do that.
I
So
agree that
if you can get extra fragments in your fusions, I recommend it.
yeah.
That's what I've been doing with this the current fusion is trying to get extras to go
Hmm.
towards her.
Yeah. Also, they did it for the mythical, right? Lady M, like get the
Yeah.
epics, etc. So
Yeah.
they could easily, even if they just put it on the top three, give us a
Mm-hmm.
way to try and get this right. People would go for it, and
Yep.
it's good for business for them. So she's definitely top tier, and that's gonna be my number one pick, I guess.
I
So
love it. I
yeah,
love it.
MTG. Do you want to go for your second choice?
Yes. It would not be an MTG collab if I didn't pick a Skinwalker. So I'm going to pick somebody who I've previously not liked. I think he's going to be crucial for people whose damage goes down with the new changes, and then they're looking to bring it back up. And that's going to be my dude, Snick Track. Now, the reason why I like Snick Track is not only because he looks freaking cool, but he has a decreased speed and a shield. Um, I think that he's going to be great if you pair him with a leech champion like Mashald or whoever you want as a leech champion, maybe Razzlevarg or somebody. But I think that a lot of people are still going to want decreased speed. Some
Mm,
people I think are going to remove decreased speed from their teams. That's one of the big things going forward is who needs to run decreased speed in their teams, I think.
mm-hmm,
But for people trying to get more damage, I think running decreased speed is going to be the key. And then he also, most importantly, has the ally protection. So if you don't have some of the top end champions that we're going to get to later in the list, I would suspect. I think he is a great way to survive longer, and you can build him with damage also because his multipliers are decent.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Let's not forget the A1 decrease attack as well.
yeah. And it's if you got a leech here, it's always gonna be landing into this decrease attack, which is super OP. He's got a fairly good passive as well for other content. HP aura in all battles, which is amazing. Where you have these type of things, he's HP based, got good survivability, really solid stats across the board with the resistance, defense, and HP. Speed's a bit low, but that's fine. I actually use this guy as well, S19 Curse City. He is like super OP for that, and I actually build him as a nuker for that thing, and he just basically one shots the Marishka, and it's night night. Especially if you've got the frog as well, which we just spoke about on the list. That defense down
Yeah.
lands. He does that ability. Ornament, you know, you can clear it, make it very very nice and easy for yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
solid
Nick
champion.
Track plus Car. We're
Yeah,
just busting these champions out the vault.
yeah.
All right, who you got for number 2?
Number 2 is going to be one of my favorite Hydra champions, who
Oh
is going to
boy.
be a Barbarian. And she's been out a long time. She's a Void Legendary, but she's been out for a very long time. I actually find this girl in vaults a lot, surprisingly. I think it's because she's not great for auto, which is the downside of her. And we'll start with the downside of her. But she's got the decreased speed on E1 with a continuous heal, which always goes on the lowest HP, which is fantastic. She's then got a attack down with a block buffs, which can be a little bit difficult to use on auto. However, my recommendation is just to switch this ability off, and when you do need that block buffs, when Wrath or Suffering or even Mischief comes up, you can land this ability pretty easily and then just go back to auto perfectly fine. She's got increased speed.
When you're running her, do you run a separate block buffs champion?
No, just her.
Just her.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
I
Okay.
land 1 billion with her. So
Really?
she's super good. I can run it on auto and manual. I do run it on manual quite regularly because of reflection, etc. I don't try and
Yeah.
take that chance. But she's like super solid for that. 3-turn cooldown, increased speed, increased defense. Again, great synergy in Hydra with like defense-based nukers, which will
Yes.
help you do more damage. And then again, passive, we just spoke about recently, is a super solid as well with the continuous heal. She's amazing in other content like Arena with bombs. She's good in Curse City against the Fire Knight. There was another rotation as well. She's good against the Curse City boss. Super solid passive. I think you use her on 2 or 3
Oh, yeah.
rotations, which can stop. You know, when he flips forms, he does the sleep rope. Don't worry about
Right.
that. You know, as long as you're not putting any
That's
buffs up,
cool.
she'll always cleanse it.
Yeah.
And then increase accuracy as well in 70, which is pretty solid. Not the highest, but pretty solid. She's got all right base stats with like resistance and accuracy. Could be better. Speed is really good. HP really good. Defense really good. Non-piece protection on her. Bottom of T. She can also do damage as well. Try and take Warmaster tier 6. And yeah, it's really important to try and take Master Hex as well for that E1, which can be pretty
Oh,
OP.
yeah.
And for
Increase
these
the
abilities,
chance to land it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now,
So
do you like running her with somebody who increases the duration of your debuffs, like Mikage,
yes,
Lady M, as we
yeah,
say?
yeah. That's perfect synergy with the two, and also I make her the fastest of the comp. So when I'm open or
Oh, yeah.
when I'm doing a
That's a
setup,
great
I
idea.
she'll land the block buffs, do the spread, and then again it's
Mhm.
fantastic. And as long as you control DK, you shouldn't have any problems. Which again would be the provoke set, right? And
That's
again,
cool.
I actually think she could be solid going forward for the decreased speed because you might not want decreased speed on all the heads, right?
Yeah.
So a single
Yeah.
target decreased speed with ally attack could be quite key and a
I
strategy
like
going
that.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. So that's definitely something you could
It's
work on.
sweet. Let's jump into a known champion for my third pick. Head over to the Shadowkin. And one of the best ways, in my opinion, to improve your damage, no matter what the metagame looks like, is to add a champion in a support role that does good damage. And sorry if this is a salty topic, because I know this is your most wanted champion, but I'm gonna pick Harima. Okay, she needs to be on my list. Too often I see her focused on arena and people just forget about her in Hydra.
Yeah.
As long as you have 350 accuracy or more, you can use your arena build on her, which is
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
She's going to be in the team for the provoke, but obviously we know her as a damage dealer. And another cool thing is if you're taking some of our other recommendations here that have this increased defense buff, it's also going to boost her.
Mhm.
So, if you got her, do you think you'd be including her in the Hydra team as well?
I think most of the time when I use her, she's like a champion that's in and out of Hydra teams depending on what I'm building. I do like to run two Hydra, two provoke champions, one with like the A1 and then a one with like a big ability like this. So she does get picked quite regularly. I mean, Ram's account was a good example of that. She did crazy damage as well, which was a bonus. So she's definitely someone, but I would probably build her for arena. I wouldn't like throw her out of the conversation of using for Hydra, because I would just put a accuracy banner on, or I'd use like accuracy aura to kind of get their stats up. Like once you've
Yeah.
got max Great Hall live arena done and the affinity Great Hall, there's no problem with building 350 accuracy or even 400 for nightmare, right? So depending on the rotations of the Hydra as well, I think there's one rotation when there's like the 50 resistance, right, with the passive abilities. So yeah, definitely a solid champion. She also has decreased attack on E1, which again we
So good.
it's not spoke about enough when it's critical, and it's always going to be critical with that. And again, she's a beast in arena as well. So a really strong passive as well. Like if you can get super solid buffs out on her, then you can also add a lot of survivability on that. Shame about the aura being in arena all with the
I
80
know.
resistance, but
Yeah.
overall she's definitely a champion. She's the only champion I've bought Prism Shards for to try and pull her.
You'll get her. You will.
Well, I think the problem when I get her is I'm gonna have Marius, so I probably won't see so much utility from her. But again, good
Oh, okay.
base stats of her with the resistance, speed, defense, and the HP is okay. It's a bit low. But again, if I don't use an arena, Hydra is a fantastic option for her. So yeah,
Yeah.
great pick,
Yeah.
great shout out, and someone that is massively underrated, and she looks really, really solid, really, really cool. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Let's move to number 3 of my choice then. This is probably like the only mythical that's on our list for today's video, and it was really a toss between Lazarus or Chris. Now, everyone knows on my channel, Chris is my favorite champion in Raidshadowlegends, just because I have a soft spot for him, and he's still fantastic Hydra champion overall, top 10, 15 in my opinion. But this guy deserves a shout out because I see him in the vault a lot, or mainly focused on arena, and you can use the same kind of arena build on him as again for using him for Hydra. He has a decreased attack on E1 with the shields. Again, the shields are
Well,
super.
before we get into his kit,
Hmm.
can you just talk on the build that you like for him? Because I think he is a very tricky champion to use.
So you could build him a few ways, right? You can build him to nuke, right, which could be an
Okay.
option. Or you can build him just as a turn meter boost champion. I think either the two are solid depending on the Hydra teams that you use him in. And I've built him differently depending on the Hydra builds because, again, feeling the turn meter boost, having him quite fast with the block buffs and the block buff as well. His passive ability giving increased accuracy, which means you don't have to build him super high. And then,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, which means you don't need like a ton of accuracy, right? Plus, he ignores accuracy with the ignore resistance. And he's
Yeah.
definitely a mythical I would book on both forms, even when we're talking about arena.
Yeah.
And then again, you just could just switch off one or two pieces between uh, arena and Hydra just to make him a bit
Yeah.
better. And again, strengthen is huge when we're talking about against Hydra, especially when you're not running the revives. And he does have a really strong revive on the passive ability as well, which
Yeah.
again is super solid, really solid. One of the best single target revives in the game because it's a
Yeah.
passive ability. And then a speed in all battles, which is probably like the best aura in my opinion for
It
this. So,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Normally, then going back to MTG's question is when all the heads are decapitated, you don't need them for a support role so much. You don't need the block buffs, etc. Flip him, get that extra damage in. He can do quite a bit of damage, and then when the heads start popping up, I guess he might actually get better because you can decide when these heads come back up, right?
Yeah.
With the
I don't know how much time we're gonna have with the new changes though. So
yeah,
if you're manualing it, you just have to manage that.
yeah,
And if you're running it on auto, just keep him in his first form.
yeah, for sure. For auto, always first form. For second, if you want more damage, if you want to do manual runs, flipping. That's the only time I'd do different. Flipping back when the heads start popping up, because you'll need that survivability, etc. So yeah, super solid champion, block buffs, and yeah, increase attack in all for all allies as well. I mean, you can't complain with that, right?
No.
It's just perfect. He's perfect for this, and he's perfect for Hydra.
Yeah.
Sorry, for Arena. So one of my favorite champions. I don't have him though, which is why I'm a bit salty about him. But yeah, super solid. I hate going up against him. He's top 3 mythicals for me when it comes to live arena. Underrated.
Yeah, I've been picking him a lot more too. I like to pick him as a support role, and then he does damage too. So.
Yeah, yeah. You can use. He's a really good counter to Catrixie as well.
Oh,
With the
yeah.
affinity. So you could even if you build him as a nuker, you can still counter Catrixia. Take Lightning Cage in a 4-piece stone skin. On him a T. You know, he's gonna always lock out the
Oh, you
team.
put lightning cage on him.
Yeah, only if he's in
Interesting.
stone skin. Only if he's in stone skin.
Yeah, I run him in a 4-piece stone skin.
Yeah, so because a lot of people in live arena gold 4 use a lot of strip champions. Lightning Cage has seen a lot of insurge in Lightning Cage. I've started going back to
Oh,
it.
cool.
So I also take Narcissus, so I don't have to worry about the block revive on Narcissus coming up. So
Nice. Love that.
that's a other one. So if you want to go into your next pick, which is going to be
Yeah.
a big one, right? It's going to be a juicy one.
Yes, it is going to be a juicy one. No. I mean, I don't know. Like, okay. So, here's the thing, okay? I'm switching into Lightning Cage on my Lazarius before I forget. I think that there is just one champion that I always look for when I'm doing takeovers. And a lot of people know about her. A lot of people use her. But in my opinion, she's one of the best Hydra champions for support. And that's going to be Molly. Now, technically speaking, anybody can get her from the token trader, but that's not really an option. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have her, almost 100% of the time she should be in one of the 3 Hydra teams because of the combination of abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she has the provoke. With it being 2 turns, that's just very unmatched. Very
Mm-hmm.
few champions do that 2-turn provoke.
Yeah.
And that's something that you want in every team is that provoke.
Mm-hmm.
It's also on a 3-turn cooldown. It also puts reflect damage. You can use her as a mischief tank. So she not only could she provoke, she can also mischief tank. Then she has an amazing revive on the A3.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, she's going to have the turn meter boost on her passive.
Yeah.
And all of that together is such an incredible kit. It's like everything that you need. As long as your team is not super squishy, then, because like if you're losing multiple people at the same time, she can't keep up.
Yeah.
She's only going to revive one person.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as your team is reasonably survivable, she's the perfect reviver. And I think she's going to see even more play going forward because of that turn meter boost.
Mm-hmm.
The heads are going to be taking more turns. They're going to be attacking you more often. So let's just boost our team after they get hit.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well. You mentioned she can do like 500k on A1, right? If there's a
Oh,
HP
yeah.
burn.
She can smack on the A1.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is you have to have an HP burn champion to go with her.
Mm-hmm. So again, like I was talking about the role of myself, I actually do look for Molly quite regularly as one of the vote champions because a lot of people have her. She was a fusion a long time ago, so a lot of people do seem to have her. She's also the only one of 3 champions that can do provoke for 2 turns, which if you're running Fears of Presence can be a 55% chance, which is a big jump in raid right now. And then the other 2 are
I just never run her with Fearsome Presence. I
no,
always
it's
go
kind of a bit of a waste, yeah.
to cycle through the turns faster,
Mm.
but Fearsome Presence would definitely be good though.
I think it depends on the style of accounts and the speeds that I'm running as well. Like if I'm running low speeds, I will go Fears of Presence just to lock down
That's
DK a bit more.
great shout, yeah.
As well, if I'm only running her as the only provoke, when I'm open up against the heads, I will use this ability a bit more just to lock that down. because I normally run 2 provoke champions with like ally attack on E1,
Okay.
which would be what I normally look for in Hydra takeover, especially when they're full auto teams. It's worth noting as well, she has insane base stats, right? She's got a 80 resistance, which is one of the highest in raid. We were talking about legendaries.
Yeah.
Insane speed of 107 as well. Good defense and HP. So building her for the 500 resistance, building her for the 350 accuracy, 400 accuracy, depending on what rotation, and then
Yeah.
stacking that HP, that defense. Try crit capper as well if you can, which has been like a super end game team. And then you're going to be definitely really happy with this champion. So lightning cage
Oh
as
yeah.
well, for Hydra, just to kind of bait mischief a bit more with a few
Yeah.
buffs, and then try and get like one piece of blood shield on her as well, which is super solid as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I love having at least one champion in a lightning cage blessing in your Hydra team.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever has the most resistance is great to have lightning cage on.
Yeah, because then mischief's always going to count as a buff and then start targeting as well. It's really
It does good
important.
damage too.
Yeah,
The lightning cage.
yeah, you can. Yeah, it's also worth pointing when you build in Hydra teams, you want to try and count out the buffs, which really helps
Yeah.
you against mischief. And most people don't even try and calculate that in. So I guess we're gonna go to number 4. I don't own his champion, but he is absolute god when we're talking about Hydra and support. This guy can do DPS, he can do revive, he can do shields, he can do it all, right?
Oh
And
yes, sir.
it's worth noting he looks so sweet. Just look at that art, the flames and everything coming off him. He's definitely top 5 Void Legendary for me when I'm talking about Arena, because Arena is always my focus on my account.
Mm-hmm.
You know, revives all dead allies, probably the best revive in the game. MTG, you know,
Yeah.
did make that point with the extra turn. It's on a 5-turn cooldown as well. So basically it's a 4 shields with the on the revive. I mean, it's better, right? The HE
Yeah.
burn as well, which can enable so many champions to do more damage, like Rathless Blademaster, for example. It really helps with Blythe as well, especially if your block buffs is on cooldown, he just pops up in the middle of the run. It can be so annoying that when it happens. A turn meter on E1 as well. HP aura in all battles effect for it. Again, fairly good base stats with speed, HP, and defense. And then obviously, let's talk about that passive, right? It is super long, but it is super amazing as well. Yeah, what do you think about Sulfurion when we're talking about him, about Hydra?
I think that he is literally the number one reviver. I
Mm,
think he is the best option. It's debatable between him and Lazarius,
mm-hmm.
but he's the only reviver that provides a high amount of damage.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
Lazarius can do it too, but you have to like manual it and switch back and forth. I think that he is the number one best reviver in the game for
Mm.
Hydra
It's,
because your team is always protected.
yeah.
You know, no matter who dies, he's bringing them back,
Mm-hmm.
and that shield is thick.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be creating survivability, damage, turn meter boost. He's just an incredible champion. Like I can't believe we undervalued him at one point when he came
True.
out. It's remarkable how good
Yeah.
he is.
He's also meta right now in Arena, one of 5 champions that can break Stone Skin extremely fast.
Yeah.
He's also amazing in Ice Golem. He's amazing in any type of dungeons and Curse City, Doom Tower. Like he's got it all right. Imagine against having him when the Frost Spider first came out. I mean, that would have been incredible, right? The shields, etc. We
Yeah.
didn't have that type of luxury when Doom Tower first come out. And again,
You
just
know
like,
what? One last thing on him here
mm,
that I feel like is super underrated is on his passive. Whenever an HP burn debuff is removed by the enemy, he places decreased resistance.
yeah,
And if you're placing that in Arena or Hydra, that's really helpful for landing other debuffs
yes,
or controlling the waves, controlling the enemies, controlling the other team. It's just a really cool part about his kit that We even just like that's like icing on the top, you know?
Yeah. I think he's definitely top 5 Hydra champion in the game. Like,
Yeah.
there's no question on this. Like, he can do it all, damage, etc. Like, when we always build in Hydra teams, me and Jed would always look for champions with extra utility and bonuses in their kit. For example, like
Yeah.
this guy can do HE burn, do shields, so it's damage dealing material, but he also revives. So that's what we
Yep.
kind of mention these things together as well as turn me to boost as well. Anyway, let's
Yeah.
go into the next pick, which MTG is going to pick as his last champion.
Okay, I was gonna pick Mithrala just because I think she should see an even bigger uptick, but I'm not doing it. I can't. I have to mention Senna here. Senna in the dwarves, this reviver, she is so ridiculously good.
Mhm.
She's one of my most wanted champions right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's not a lot of content on her, so I want to just mention how good she is. Like, how cool is it to revive your champions and then they get an ally attack? That is just the coolest.
Mm-hmm.
And super helpful if you're having a hard time with survivability. And that's, I think, the thing that we need to think about going forward is if Hydra's getting harder, then we need to make more survivability. We need to make a better style reviver in our team. And yes, I know she's a void legendary, but like some people are going to have her, you know?
Yeah.
She also has a turn meter fill with the increased speed and continuous heal, and she instantly activates them on the A1. So I think if you have her, you should be using her. And if not, then try to find, the heart of the idea is use the revivers and the support champions to increase your healthy duration of the fight, to
Yeah.
survive longer.
Yeah. I actually think that's a really good shout out. I mean, she's got speed aura in all battles as well, 19, which is solid.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find that. I think there's some utility in her for siege as well, if I'm honest. Actually, I didn't think about this
Yeah.
champion. I don't have her myself, but I've
Me
seen
neither.
one or two people use her really effectively in live arena as well.
I want
Um,
her for live arena so bad.
yeah,
I
so
really do.
and a lot of people, because she's not used so much, that would throw so many people off. Like, if I
Yeah.
was to face her, I'd probably undervalue her a little bit. I think I did at one stage. And I also forgot she had a revive. Actually, this
Yeah.
could be really solid with tap-based nukers because you should always be running Life Drinker, right? And if you can revive, even if she gives you 50% turn meter, if you do an ally attack as well at the same time, then you're going to get Life Drinker that procs. And if you're doing plenty of damage, you have that War Master or the Hammer Smasher, you're going to heal all
Yep.
the way to the top, right? Use a champion like a Carnage, for example, who has an insane healing factor inside his kits on second form. He's definitely going to heal all the way back up, and he's going to appreciate this, and it'll keep you alive against Wrath, right? There's nothing worse when you revive and then he just nukes you straight back down. That is like a disaster. So it does happen to all of us, and again, probably the only one of few champions that actually can instantly activate continuous heals as well, which is super good. What set would you kind of recommend for her in live arena?
I
Not live
think
arena,
that I
Hydra, sorry.
would like in an end game build, I would be putting Merciless and Reflex
Mm-hmm.
to try to activate that turn meter boost as much as possible. But really, I think she's super flexible in terms of sets.
Yeah.
Like even if you just do Relentless or just do all speed sets and make her fast, either way. But if you really want to get her moving quickly, put another champion with continuous heals in there. Because that passive, it gains a lot of turn meter. 5% doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up real quickly.
Yeah. There is plenty of champions actually that can do continuous heal on
Mhm.
E1, on the passive abilities like 2 hack, for example. That could really have a great
Your
synergy with
favorite
that.
champion, Krisk?
Yeah, Krisk as well, yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of utility. I would probably say if I was going to use Merciless, I'd go with a 9-piece Merciless, just because it's built in.
Interesting.
Yeah, built in with the extra turn, right? That's why I would do
Yeah.
it, because that 15% of extra turn plus
Yeah,
that 4p set of the 30% chance.
like it.
Impulse as well, triple impulse could be insane on her as well with refresh gear. Could be super solid as well. Maybe even what's the other one? Cleansing. The cleansing one could be okay on her
Yeah.
as well, just so she
I
doesn't lock
like the
herself out.
impulse idea. That's a great shout out. A lot of people have a two-piece set and
Mm.
probably are not using it
Yeah,
yet.
if you go reflex and impulse, Bonamati is
Yeah.
so powerful for Hydra. It's so hard to find impulse on people's accounts right now. When I do takeovers, but I have two sets now. I'm very happy with them, and they're super OP. Like it's crazy good with that extra speed. So yeah,
That's cool.
I guess the last pick as well, from me, which is a champion that actually doesn't get used in Hydra at all because she's just so arena meta. Other than Trunda teams, and even then she started falling out. It's worth noting this girl has it all, right? She has the ability to land AoE decrease speed and increase speed, increasing your turn meter like crazy amount, like a Negmafar, a Dream
Yeah.
Song as well, which are really meta in Hydra right now. She has that instant turn with that increased attack, critical rate as well, and critical damage. I wouldn't
Yeah.
so much build like 70% critical rate for Hydra to try and fit this in because I think you
Yeah.
can kind of screw up yourself a little bit. But this is a super powerful. She can rotate her gear quite well. Her A1's a bit okay, but bear in mind, you can build her with no accuracy. You just build her like 300 speed, and then that speed turns into accuracy from her passive ability. And that is
Yeah.
so sweet because then you can build her for arena, but then still use her in
Mhm.
Hydra, and you don't go worry about changing her gear because the passive does that already, right?
Yeah.
And you can use accuracy aura again, etc. So really solid base stats. I mean, 110 base speed, which is basically 110 accuracy on her. Then she has 10
Yeah.
accuracy on top. And then fairly good HP. Defense a bit low, but HP at 21,000 is very healthy. So what do you think about Shuzan overall?
So, a couple of things about Shuan.
Hmm.
Number one, she's the fastest champion on my account,
Okay.
and I have been using her in my Trunda team.
Hmm.
But you're convincing me to try her out in other teams.
Hmm.
She's actually insane in a nine-piece protection set because of all the buffs she gives. She's insane.
Yeah.
And I think for most players, she should be your fastest champion. Like, just put your Arbiter's gear on her and
Hmm.
just see the miracles that she can do for you in your account. I love her and I think she's great. I'm interested to try her out in like a non-Trunda team and just see how well she can do for me. But I use her all the time. She's freaking good.
If you can get this ability and make correct as well in your turn order, she's actually going to
Yeah.
be pretty insane for auto, right?
Yeah.
Because
Just make sure that you put whoever you want her to boost the most often
mhm.
should be in the lead.
Yeah, that's true. It's worth noting as well. I've noticed in Gold for Live Arena, I have her on one of the accounts I push for Live Arena. She's kind of starting to drop out the meta a little bit, because of Marius, right? Landing that turn meter drop
Yeah.
against Marius is not a smart pick, especially if you're not using Stone Skin on your nukas. So
Yeah.
that's something to take in consideration. So if you're going to use Shazam at the top, try and pick out towards the end. Definitely a good recommendation to make you your fastest champion.
Yeah.
Um, I think the fastest one is actually our bias, but it's because I use bombs. I want that increased accuracy
Oh,
with
nice.
the
Yeah.
increased attack, etc. But yeah, super solid, and she's actually a great counter to Armads. If you, because you have to be faster, right? So you can
Yeah.
do her ability. I mean, it's a bit of a waste to do it into a lockout, but if you can't ignore Stone Skin, for example, and he's in a Stone Skin build, or even if he's not in a Stone Skin, go straight into a nuker, and it's night night. You know, like if you
Yep.
ban out Reviver, it's night night, and you're
Yep.
always going to be faster unless you're doing Gold 4 Live Arena. You're always going to be faster than Armads, right? So yeah, super
And that's how I
super.
made it to Gold Live Arena.
Did she carry you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did another takeover and she carried that account to Quintus.
Yep.
70%
Yep.
win rate. So yeah, great pick overall, and I think that's about it. We're gonna wrap up towards the end. Jedward, do you want to add anything to today's video or anything like that?
I think the biggest thing is let's try to stay positive with the Hydra changes. If
Mm,
you made it all the way to the end of the video, you're trying to find the best way to improve your account, and like your attitude, like your mental state is more important than the champions you're choosing.
yeah.
If you're struggling, just keep working at it, you know? It's a game, it's supposed to be fun. We're trying to figure out this puzzle.
Hmm.
So just keep working on it, you know? Use our suggestions here, post your suggestions in the comments below. Who's like the best new champion that's helped you out?
Yeah.
And let's all work together to help each other.
It's worth noting as well. It's always important to try and look at the positives of the changes that Raid had done. Even if my personal opinion they went a bit far, I think NTG would probably agree that they went a bit far. But this is going to happen now. Like it's too late to kind of complain about it or to let it get you down. But there is still ways to do stuff. And the champions that we picked today are going to be super solid for your picks. If you are struggling for content, not content for HYDRA, MTG streams enough every day. I stream enough every day. Come and check out our channels. You know, we can give you some advice. We do this on a daily basis. I know MTG does coaching sessions. You don't have to get takeover if you don't want to. But he also does a lot of takeovers as well, which will drop down in the description of the video. And again, you can go ahead check out all my stuff in Discord as well, where you'll find all my stuff for that. And yeah, and like even our communities, like MTG has a solid community. I have a solid community, and there is people in there with all sorts of accounts, free to play, Krakens that can help you as well. So take that into boards and try not to let it get too much. You know, it is what it is, and that's the way it is. The change always going to come in the game. I would like to thank MTG for spending his time with me today to do a part 2 because I actually messed up the audio for the first one.
No problem, man.
So you know these things do happen. I think I seen how Hades do it the other day, didn't I,
Yeah.
with
Yep.
YST. So even the
Mhm.
biggest content creators do make these mistakes sometimes. So I really appreciate that, and hopefully you guys appreciate this. MTG is one of the main content creators I actually watch, which is not many. So hopefully you can go ahead, drop him a sub on his channel. It's free at the end of the day, doesn't cost you anything. And check out his content. If you're not already, you should know who this guy is. You know, he's a legend in his raids, and he's one of the oldest content creators in Raidshadowlegends as well, which is also worth pointing out. And I think that's about it. Again, appreciate you for checking it out, and hopefully we can do some competitions in the future.
Sure.
For HYDRA, I think we can definitely do some cool events and offer some juicy rewards for our communities as well. And
Yeah.
we can work on that as like a fun type of activity and also use experience to actually help educate people as well within this type of stuff. Knowledge goes a long way in Raidshadowlegends and experience does as well. So yeah, I think that's about it for today's video. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I've been Grim. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.